Black CEO kicked off a yacht party by Hostess. Seconds later, he spoke up and left them terrified. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to Malik. You need to step off the yacht. Now. The words hit the humid air like a slap, sharp enough that a few guests near the rail turned their heads. Lydia Crane, the hostess in a crisp white uniform and a smile colder than the ocean below, planted herself at the top of the boarding ramp with one manicured hand blocking the path. She didn't ask for a name. She didn't check a list. She just looked at Malik Davenport, plain linen shirt, soft beard stubble, boat shoes that had seen better summers, and decided he didn't belong. The deck lights shimmered across polished chrome and champagne flutes, but the glow didn't reach her eyes. Malik paused, one foot still on the ramp, the other on the deck, like the party itself was deciding whether he deserved to exist on it. The music thumped low, expensive bass that vibrated through the hull. Laughter floated across the open air like confetti. And yet this moment, this small collision at the entrance, froze everything inside him. Lydia crossed her arms. Sir, this is a private event. Guests only. This party is for people who actually received an invitation. Her gaze traveled down his outfit with open disdain, stopping at his watchless wrist, as if that confirmed her assumptions. Behind her, two security crew members shifted, waiting for her cue, already convinced they knew the situation. Another uninvited guy trying to sneak into a wealthy crowd. Malik held her stare without raising his voice. He had learned long ago that tone mattered more than volume. I should be on your list, he said evenly. Lydia let out a small laugh, the kind designed to humiliate without sounding like it on paper. I don't think so. She snapped her fingers at one of the deckhands. Escort him back to the dock. Please. We don't need disruptions tonight. A few guests glanced over their shoulders. Some smirked. Others simply assumed the same story Lydia had written. Wrong clothes, wrong look, wrong man. But on the far side of the deck, someone else noticed. Sophia Hale, a young event assistant carrying a stack of guest folders against her chest. Her brows pulled together as she recognized the name she had highlighted hours earlier during setup. She hesitated, shifting her weight like she wanted to step forward but didn't know if her voice mattered here. Malik didn't look at her. He didn't look at anyone. Only the semicircle of privilege forming around him, waiting to see how far he would be pushed. Lydia stepped closer, lowering her voice, but not her arrogance. Look, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but this yacht is full of high-profile donors, executives, founders, people who actually belong here. You're holding up boarding. Please don't make this more embarrassing than it needs to be. Embarrassing. The word echoed, tugging at a memory he hadn't felt in years, standing outside a private marina at 22, mistaken for a valet because he was the only black man without a tailored suit. He remembered the flush of shame, the way he swallowed it because he had no power back then. Tonight, though, power wasn't the issue. Perception was. The deckhand moved closer. Sir, let's go. He reached out, lightly touching Malik's elbow as if guiding a lost customer or removing an inconvenience. That touch, small, almost polite, was the moment everything inside Malik went still. Lydia misread the silence as surrender. Thank you, she said, already turning away. Let's keep the line moving. But the line didn't move. The skies didn't move. Even the music seemed to falter for half a breath, like the night itself sensed the shift. Malik's hand rose. Not fast, not threatening, just enough to break the invisible script Lydia expected him to follow. He spoke, calm enough to be mistaken for gentle, but with a weight that made the deckhand's hand drop instantly. You should have checked the list, he said. Lydia blinked, annoyed. Excuse me. Malik stepped fully onto the deck, shoulders squared, eyes unblinking. Because in a few seconds, you're going to wish you had. The air tightened. A couple at the cocktail table froze mid-sip. Sophia Hale's grip on the folders trembled as she drew a breath and whispered, barely audible, "Oh my God, that's him." But Lydia didn't hear her. She didn't hear anything except her own certainty that she still held the upper hand. "Sir, if you take one more," Malik cut her off without raising his volume. Call your event coordinator. Tell them Malik Davenport has arrived. Silence hit the yacht harder than the music ever could. Guests exchanged looks. The security crew stiffened. Lydia's confidence slipped, just enough for fear to flicker behind her lashes. Malik didn't gloat, didn't smirk. He simply stood there, anchored to the deck as if the vessel itself belonged to him. And in a way Lydia could never imagine, he knew it did. For a moment, no one on the yacht moved. The ocean rolled quietly against the hull while Malik Davenport stood at the center of the entrance, steady as a pier post in a rising tide. Lydia Crane blinked rapidly, her confidence slipping like sand through her fingers. She had dismissed hundreds of guests in her career, but never one who spoke with that kind of certainty. Malik did not need to raise his voice. His presence shifted the air. A couple holding flutes of champagne paused mid-sip. The deckhand who had touched Malik stepped back, as if realizing he had crossed into the wrong kind of storm. Sophia Hale, clutching her folders near the lantern-lit bar, finally found her voice enough to whisper, "I knew it. I knew that name looked familiar." Lydia tried to regain control, squaring her shoulders. "Sir, we do not tolerate disruptions. If you truly were expected, someone would have escorted you. There is no need for theatrics." Malik's jaw tightened just slightly. Not enough for anger. Enough for memory. He remembered being 25, walking into a private investor retreat in San Diego, wearing the same quiet confidence, and being told the same thing. Someone like you does not belong in a room like this. Tonight felt like a replay of a moment he had worked his entire life to erase. The yacht lights glimmered off the water, casting reflections that shimmered across his face like echoes of old battles. He looked right at Lydia. "Call your event coordinator." She scoffed, the kind of dismissive sound that suggested she had already decided her version of reality. "I do not take instructions from guests." Malik's reply was calm, almost gentle. "You will tonight." Lydia signaled. To the deckhands again. "Remove him now." But the crew hesitated. Something in Malik's tone had neutralized their authority. It was not volume. It was certainty. A certainty they had only heard from people who paid for the yacht, not people being pushed off it. Malik reached into his pocket and tapped the small earpiece clipped discreetly to his collar. "Connect me to Ethan Ward," he said. His assistant's voice came through instantly, barely audible to anyone else. "Connected. He is on the upper deck. He is asking if everything is fine." Malik kept his eyes on Lydia. "Tell him it is not." Lydia folded her arms. "Who do you think you are?" Malik's response was a slow exhale. "The wrong man to misjudge." A wave of murmurs rippled across the deck. Guests began drifting closer, drawn by the tension that thickened the air. Some whispered theories. Others raised their phones, careful not to be obvious. The energy shifted into something electric. Sophia finally stepped forward, her voice trembling but determined. "Lydia, I think you should check the sponsor list again." Lydia snapped. "Stay in your lane, Sophia." "He is on it," Sophia said, louder this time. "I remember highlighting the name Davenport. The event brief said the founders might arrive without formal escorts." For the first time, Lydia hesitated. It lasted only a second, but it was enough. Malik saw it. So did everyone else. The music on the yacht dipped into a soft instrumental, creating a quiet stage for the rising storm. Lydia's jaw flexed. "Even if you are on the list, you cannot just walk aboard like you own the place." Malik held her gaze. "Lydia, if I owned the place, would you speak to me any differently?" The question hit her like a sudden cold wind. Her throat tightened, and she glanced toward the high deck where Ethan Ward, the event host, had just stepped into view. He leaned over the railing, scanning the lower deck with narrowed eyes, clearly alerted by the tension. Malik did not wave. He did not call out. He just stood there. Ethan's face paled as soon as he recognized him. The owner of the yacht party had finally seen the man Lydia tried to throw out. And in the space of a single heartbeat, Lydia's entire world began to tilt. Ethan Ward did not walk. He descended the staircase of the upper deck with the urgency of a man who suddenly realized the ground beneath him was cracking. His shoes clicked hard against the polished wood, each step announcing a shift in power that everyone on the yacht could feel. Lydia Crane straightened her blazer, trying to recover her confidence. But her eyes flicked nervously between Ethan and Malik as if calculating which one could end her career faster. The guests parted instinctively, creating a silent pathway. They did not know what was happening yet, but they sensed it was bigger than a simple misunderstanding. Malik Davenport stood completely still, his expression steady and unreadable, as if he had already played out this confrontation in his mind long before stepping onto the yacht. Ethan reached the lower deck and stopped 3 feet from Malik. His face was tight with shock, dread, and something close to respect. "Mr. Davenport," Ethan said, voice strained, "I had no idea you had arrived." Malik did not reply. He did not need to. The silence alone pressed on Ethan like a weight. Lydia blinked rapidly, confusion and fear battling across her face. She looked from Ethan to Malik and back again, as if trying to swallow the reality forming in front of her. "Wait," Lydia whispered, "you know him?" Ethan turned to her slowly, as if every degree of rotation burned. "Yes," he said. "I do." He swallowed hard. "This event exists because of him." The words rippled across the deck. Conversation stopped. Breaths held. Even the ocean breeze seemed to pause. Malik watched Lydia absorb it. Her face drained of color as her mouth opened slightly, closing again without sound. She looked like someone realizing the door she slammed in a stranger's face was actually the entrance to her own future. Ethan exhaled shakily. "Mr. Davenport, I am so sorry. I assure you we were prepared to welcome you properly. Had I known you were here, you would have stopped her," Malik finished, his voice low. Ethan nodded helplessly. "Yes." Immediately, Lydia's hands trembled at her sides. She tried to recover her voice, but it cracked the moment she opened her mouth. "Sir, I did not know. The list was unclear. The lighting was dim. Your arrival was unexpected." Malik's eyes narrowed slightly. "Are you explaining your actions or avoiding them?" Lydia froze. Guests watched her the way people watch a disaster slowly unfolding. Both horrified and unable to turn away. Sophia Hale stepped closer, clutching her folders. Her voice was still soft, but this time it did not shake. "Lydia, Malik Davenport was listed under founder access. I highlighted it myself." Ethan shot her a grateful look. Lydia's breath hitched. I must have overlooked," Malik cut in. "You did not overlook. You dismissed." Lydia's throat worked in panic. She took a step forward. "Sir, if you give me a moment, I can fix this. I can make sure you are escorted in properly." Malik did not move. "I made it onto the yacht without your help." Lydia's eyes widened. Ethan rubbed a hand across his forehead, clearly unwilling to defend her. A few guests exchanged glances of disbelief, their stares sharp enough to slice. Malik let the silence stretch, letting the weight of the moment do the work. Then he finally spoke again. "Tell me, Lydia," he said, his voice carrying across the deck with quiet authority, "when you decided that I did not belong here, what exactly did you see?" The question struck her like a blow. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Malik continued, not harshly, but with precision. "Was it the clothes? The lack of a watch? The absence of an escort? Or was it simply me?" Lydia's eyes glistened with shame. She looked down, unable to hold the gaze of the man she had judged in seconds. Ethan cleared his throat. "Mr. Davenport, please allow me to make this right. We can begin the program, introduce you properly, and—" Malik raised a hand, stopping him effortlessly. "This is not about introductions," he said. "This is about accountability." The deck fell silent once more. A few guests nodded subtly. Others watched Lydia with eyes full of verdict. And as the ocean breeze swept across the deck, everyone understood the same truth. The real party had not begun yet, but the reckoning had. The murmurs on the yacht swelled like a rising tide as Lydia Crane stood frozen, her pride sinking fast while the weight of her mistake pressed on every breath she tried to take. Malik Davenport had not raised his voice, but the quiet precision of his words cut deeper than anything volume could deliver. Ethan Ward hovered nearby, his posture stiff with embarrassment, aware that the night he hoped would impress elite investors had transformed into a public examination of character. Sophia Hale, still clutching her folders, stepped forward with a resolve that did not match her small frame. Her voice carried across the deck with a clarity that surprised even herself. "I need to say something," she said, looking between Malik and Ethan. "I saw Lydia remove the founder access sheet during setup. She said it was unnecessary because guests like him would not arrive without being announced." A gasp broke through the crowd. Lydia's eyes widened in horror. "Sophia, that is not true." Sophia met her gaze without blinking. "It is. You said you would control the flow because some people would try to get close to the donors. You said you could spot them in seconds. Guests exchanged looks of disbelief, outrage, and something colder, recognition. They had heard versions of this before, seen it in boardrooms, airports, restaurants, places where power was assumed instead of earned. Ethan turned to Lydia, his voice sharp. Is that true? Lydia stammered. I was trying to protect the event. There have been security issues before. I was following instinct. Malik responded before Ethan could. Instinct or bias? Lydia's mouth snapped shut. A man near the bar muttered. We know what it was. Another whispered. Unbelievable. At this kind of event. Sophia swallowed hard, then added. And when I tried to tell her his name was highlighted, she told me to stay in my lane. That sentence hit the deck harder than any shouting could. Malik's expression did not change, but his eyes softened for a brief second, acknowledging the courage it took for someone with no power to speak truth in a room full of it. Ethan looked ill. Lydia, do you understand the position you have put this event in? Do you understand who you dismissed? Lydia's voice cracked. I did not know. I swear I did not know. Malik tilted his head slightly. You did not know because you did not check. You made a decision the moment you looked at me. Lydia's breathing faltered. Please, sir, I can apologize properly. I can step aside for the rest of the night. Just tell me what you want me to do. Malik let her words linger in the air, not out of cruelty, but out of principle. You do not owe me an apology first, he said. Lydia looked confused. I do not. Malik gestured, subtly toward Sophia. You owe her one. The crowd turned. Lydia blinked rapidly, her pride buckling. Sophia looked down at her shoes, overwhelmed by the sudden attention. Lydia opened her mouth, but her voice would not come out. It took her a long moment before she managed a shaky. Sophia, I am sorry. Sophia nodded once, polite but distant. The wound was visible, and everyone could see it. Malik then looked at the two security crew members who had nearly removed him. Did either of you question the order before approaching me? The taller guard hesitated. No, sir. We just followed protocol. Malik held his gaze. A protocol built on what? The guard swallowed. Assumptions, sir. Malik nodded. That is the problem. Ethan stepped forward, desperate to salvage control. Mr. Davenport, please allow me to personally escort you inside. We can reset the night. Make things right. Malik looked around the deck, at the guests watching, at the staff holding their breaths, at the ocean reflecting the lights like fragments of truth. You cannot reset what happened, he said calmly. But you can learn from it. Lydia looked like she might burst into tears. The guard stood speechless. Sophia clutched her folders tighter, and the crowd waited, knowing the moment was shifting again, knowing something bigger than embarrassment was settling over the yacht. Malik took one slow breath, the kind a man takes when he is deciding what the next chapter will look like, and the entire deck leaned in, waiting to see what he would do next. For a long moment, the deck of the yacht felt suspended between two worlds, the one where Lydia Crane's judgment had nearly ejected Malik Davenport into the night, and the one where the truth was slowly rising like a tide that could not be held back. Malik stood still, his silence drawing every gaze toward him. The ocean breeze brushed across the deck, cool and salty, carrying with it the weight of history that lingered just beneath his calm expression. Because beneath his measured exterior, something deeper stirred, something shaped years before this night. As Ethan Ward struggled to gather himself, Malik's eyes drifted for just a second, not away from the chaos, but inward, toward a memory etched into him like a scar that never fully faded. He was 16 again, standing outside a private marina in Charleston. He was wearing his only collared shirt, the one his mother ironed carefully, telling him he would shine if he walked in with confidence. He remembered approaching a local boat club scholarship event, hopeful, excited, dreaming of the future. But the man at the gate barely looked at his name. He scanned his face instead and said, "Deliveries use the back entrance." Malik had tried to explain, voice trembling, but the man waved him off and said, "Do not make this difficult. You do not belong here." He remembered standing there as the sun set over the water, the sound of laughter drifting from the dock, feeling a mixture of shame and resolve that hardened inside him like stone. He promised himself that one day, he would never let someone else decide his worth. The memory snapped away as quickly as it came, replaced by the present, where Lydia Crane stood only a few steps away, trembling under the weight of what she had done. Malik drew a slow breath, steadying himself. This moment was not just about her. It was about every time someone like her believed they had the authority to determine who belonged and who did not. Sophia Hale watched him closely, as if she could feel the shift happening inside him. Ethan approached cautiously, his voice low. Mr. Davenport, I understand if you would like to leave, but I also hope you stay. The investors are waiting. You deserve to be honored properly. Malik's gaze remained fixed on Lydia. It is not about honor, he said. It is about recognition. Lydia's mouth quivered. Sir, I know I failed. I know my actions caused harm. I did not. I never meant to. Malik cut her off, not harshly, but firmly. Intent does not erase impact. A hush fell again, the kind that signals a truth so sharp it changes the air. Malik continued, You did not question the list. You questioned me. You saw what you expected to see, not what was real. Lydia's eyes filled with tears, but she did not look away this time. She faced him fully, the reality settling into her like cold rain. One of the guests near the bar whispered, He is right. Another said softly, This happens too often. Malik let their words settle before he spoke again. Moments like this, he said, they repeat. Over and over. At doors, at desks, at gates, at events meant for everyone except the people some choose to exclude. His voice was calm, but the weight of it filled every corner of the yacht. But tonight, he added, that ends here. Lydia swallowed tightly, her shoulders shaking. Please, Mr. Davenport, what do you want me to do? Malik held her gaze. On what you did. Not because I asked. Because it matters. Lydia nodded, her voice barely a whisper. I understand. Malik exhaled, not in anger but in release, as though letting go of every echo from his past that had shaped this moment. The crowd watched him not as a man embarrassed, but as a man reclaiming space he had always deserved. And when he finally turned his head toward the rest of the deck, every person knew the evening was about to shift once again, but this time under his control. The ocean hummed against the hull, as if the entire yacht were holding its breath, waiting for Malik Davenport to make his next move. Lydia Crane stood trembling, her apology still hanging in the air like smoke that refused to clear, while Ethan Ward hovered helplessly beside her, knowing that whatever happened next would determine the fate of the event and possibly his relationship with one of the most influential men in the maritime tech world. Malik did not rush. He never rushed. Power did not need to sprint. It simply arrived and reshaped everything around it. He touched the discreet earpiece at his collar, his voice steady. Activate the internal channel, he said. His assistant responded instantly. Connected. Protocol ready when you are. Ethan stiffened. Protocol. Malik turned his head just slightly toward him. A safeguard. For nights exactly like this. Lydia swallowed hard, visibly shaking. Please, sir, is that necessary? Malik looked at her with the calm clarity of someone who had been preparing for accountability long before this, yet ever left the harbor. When people build systems designed to exclude, they often forget that others build systems designed to expose. His words sent a ripple through the guests. A few of them straightened, sensing something significant was about to begin. Malik lifted his chin slightly. Patch me into the event network. His assistant replied. You are live on the coordinator channel, sir. A series of soft chimes echoed through the speakers hidden along the deck railing. Several staff members stiffened, their eyes widening as their tablets flickered with new notifications. Ethan stepped forward urgently. Mr. Davenport, if this is about visibility, I can personally make an announcement, reintroduce you, correct everything. You do not have to escalate this. Malik's gaze sharpened. This is not an escalation. This is clarity. Lydia looked like she wanted to disappear into the wooden deck. The yacht crew shifted nervously, glancing between each other, uncertain of whether to intervene or retreat. Malik spoke clearly, his voice carrying across the deck without force, only precision. Coordinator, confirm founder access protocols. A voice crackled through the system speakers. Founder access confirmed. Priority authority active. Lydia's knees wobbled. She clutched the railing to steady herself. Malik continued. Confirm who removed my name from the immediate verification list. The coordinator hesitated, then answered. An edit was made from the Hostess terminal at 5:52 p.m. All eyes turned to Lydia. Her mouth opened in shock. I did not know it was a founder access entry. I thought. Malik cut in gently but firmly. You thought someone like me would not belong. Lydia lowered her head, the truth too heavy to deny. Sophia Hale, standing near the edge of the crowd, stepped closer. Her voice trembled but remained steady. Sir, should I send the confirmation files to your team? Malik nodded once. Send them. They are part of the record now. Ethan's face flushed with panic. Record? Malik, please, this will ruin the entire staff. I guarantee it was not malice, just a mistake. Malik turned to him slowly. Mistakes happen quietly. Bias announces itself. The words landed like stones in a still pond, their impact spreading across the deck as guests exchanged solemn looks. Malik touched the earpiece again. Notify my legal liaison. Forward the incident log. Archive the security footage. Lydia gasped. Security footage? Malik replied. Cameras cover every boarding point. You saw me, judged me, and ordered me to be removed. That is what happened. The footage will show it. The staff began to shift uncomfortably, the reality of their situation becoming clearer by the second. Lydia's voice broke. Mr. Davenport, please. I am begging you. I have worked my entire life for this career. Malik's expression softened only slightly. Then you should understand better than most the harm caused when someone abuses their position. He let silence settle again, letting the weight of consequence hang in the air. Tonight you tried to decide where I could stand, he said. Now I am deciding what standards this event will stand on. And as his words carried across the deck, the night shifted once more, not with chaos but with a calm, deliberate force that left everyone watching in stunned, breathless silence. I will give you one chance to understand exactly where you are standing, Lydia. Malik Davenport's voice did not rise, but it carried across the deck like a tightening wire, sharp enough that even the night breeze seemed to pull back. Guests leaned in instinctively, sensing they had reached the moment this entire confrontation had been building toward. The reveal. The moment when the truth stops knocking and blows the door straight off its hinges. Lydia Crane froze, her hands clasped so tightly that her knuckles had gone white. Ethan Ward looked between them with a dread that soaked deeper by the second. Malik took a step forward, not menacing, simply claiming the space that had always been his. You removed my name from the entry list, he said. You told security to escort me out. You blocked me at the entrance of an event I created, sponsored, and built from the ground up. Lydia's lips trembled. Sir, I did not know. I had no idea who you were. Malik's eyes did not waver. Exactly. Because you never bothered to find out. A hush swept through the guests. A few exchanged knowing glances, others whispered, there it is, under their breath. Malik continued, each word landing with the weight of a truth that could no longer be softened. You looked at me, and you made a choice. You decided I was not worthy of this yacht, this event, or the people here. You made that decision faster than you blink. Lydia shook her head frantically. I swear I had no intention. Malik raised a hand, cutting her off with effortless authority. Your intention is irrelevant. Your impact is undeniable. Ethan exhaled sharply, unable to look away. He knew what was coming. Everyone did. But they still leaned closer, drawn to the gravity Malik carried so easily. Malik let the silence stretch, then spoke the words that would echo across the deck long after the night was over. You kicked me off a yacht party that I own. Gasps tore through the crowd. Someone whispered, oh my God. Another breathed. He owns the whole thing. A couple near the bar stared at each other in stunned disbelief. Even the security guards stiffened, their eyes wide with panic at what they had almost done. Lydia's knees buckled. What do you mean you own it? Malik turned slightly toward Ethan. Tell her. Ethan looked like he might faint. Lydia, Mr. Davenport is not just the founder-sponsor. He is the majority shareholder of the entire maritime investment group that finances this yacht line. This event exists because of him. The ship you are standing on exists because of him. Lydia's face went pale. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Even the waves seemed to hush, waiting. Malik stepped closer, his voice low enough to be intimate, but loud enough for everyone to hear. You told me I did not belong here. And you said it with certainty. Lydia shook her head desperately. Please, sir, I did not know. I would never. Malik's voice sharpened the slightest degree. That is the problem. You did not need to know. You did not care to know. He let his gaze sweep across the deck, taking in every guest, every staff member, every witness to the moment. Power does not excuse you. Position does not protect you. and ignorance does not absolve you. Lydia let out a small, broken sound. Malik straightened, command settling over him like a tailored coat. You did not simply insult me, he said. You insulted every person who has ever been judged before being seen, dismissed before being understood, excluded before being acknowledged. The yacht fell completely silent. Even the music stopped. And then Malik delivered the line that would replay in the minds of every single person on that deck. You wanted to decide who belonged. Now you will learn who decides what happens next. Lydia's breath hitched, as if she had been struck. Ethan swallowed hard. The guests stood utterly still. Because the twist had arrived, and it was far more devastating than anything they expected. Malik Davenport was no longer the man they tried to push out. He was the man who held the entire night in the palm of his hand. The deck of the yacht did not simply go quiet. It collapsed into a stunned, breathless stillness as every person on board realized they had just witnessed the moment the ground shifted beneath Lydia Crane's feet. Her lips parted, but no excuse, no apology, no explanation could climb its way out. Malik Davenport did not gloat. He did not smirk. He simply stood in the center of the deck with the composure of a man who knew exactly where he belonged, because he had built the very ground others tried to push him off. The security guards lowered their hands, stepping back with the same instinct that tells a person they have wandered far too close to the edge of a cliff. Ethan Ward looked like a man trying to hold a skyscraper together with his bare hands, his voice shaking as he addressed Malik. Mr. Davenport, please, if there is anything we can do to repair this, anything at all, Malik interrupted gently. Repair requires accountability, not desperation. The guests shifted, forming a wide semicircle around Malik and Lydia as though the yacht itself had rearranged to give him the space he deserved all along. Lydia's voice cracked. Please, sir, I am begging you, do not end my career over this. I swear I did not know who you were. Malik did not raise his voice. Your mistake was believing you needed to know. Lydia flinched at the words. Malik continued. You judged first. You asked questions never. You acted with certainty built on nothing but your assumptions. And you used authority you did not earn to enforce a decision you did not verify. Sophia Hale stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. She deleted his founder access file. I saw her do it. Lydia spun toward her, tears forming. Sophia, please. Sophia shook her head. It is the truth, and it is what he deserves to have acknowledged. Malik nodded once, acknowledging Sophia's courage. Ethan rubbed his hands over his face. Mr. Davenport, please understand the staff depends on this event. If you file a report or enforce founder penalties, Malik looked at him evenly. Ethan, the consequences are not mine. They are hers. Lydia collapsed into a chair, her legs unable to hold her. Malik tapped the earpiece on his collar. Legal liaison, confirm receipt of the incident documentation. A calm voice responded, received. All files logged and archived. Awaiting your directive. Several guests exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered, this is serious. Others murmured, she ruined herself. Malik let the reaction settle before speaking. Tonight was supposed to celebrate innovation, partnership, and inclusion. But one person decided to make herself the gatekeeper of all three. Lydia shook her head violently. No, I promise, I did not mean. Malik raised a hand again. Stop apologizing for your intentions. Start acknowledging your actions. Lydia's shoulders crumpled. Malik continued. When you weaponize your bias, the harm does not end with one person. It spreads. It shapes culture. It decides who feels welcome and who does not. It determines who gets dignity and who gets humiliation. The guests listened, the weight of his words settling into their chests like anchors. Malik took one slow step toward Lydia. You tried to remove me from an event that would not exist without me. You tried to decide that I did not belong on a yacht built with my investment. You tried to classify me as a threat because of nothing but your own assumptions. Lydia's tears finally fell. Please, I will do better. I will learn. I will change. Do not take everything from me. Malik looked at her with a calm that cut deeper than fury. I am not here to take anything from you. I am here to show you the cost of what you took from others. Ethan whispered, Mr. Davenport, what is your decision? Malik exhaled slowly. Effective immediately, Lydia Crane is suspended from all responsibilities pending full review. Gasps erupted across the deck. Lydia's breath shattered. No, Please, Malik continued, voice steady. She will be escorted to shore at the next docking point. Her access is revoked. Her authority is dissolved. The yacht systems chimed softly as the suspension took effect. Lydia's tablet locked. Her ID badge flickered red. She let out a soft cry. Some guests looked away. Others watched in solemn recognition that justice did not always come loudly. Malik's final words carried through the deck like a calm storm. This is not punishment. This is consequence. And as the lights of the harbor reflected off the water, every person on board understood that the collapse of power they had just witnessed was not cruelty, it was clarity. For several long seconds, no one on the yacht dared to breathe. Lydia Crane sat collapsed in the deck chair, her suspended badge glowing red against her blazer like a quiet, undeniable verdict. The guests who had witnessed every moment stood frozen, their expressions reflecting the truth settling over them. They had not just watched a confrontation. They had watched a shift in power, in culture, in understanding. Malik Davenport remained still at the center of the deck, not triumphant, not cruel, but resolute. The yacht's soft lighting framed him against the ocean backdrop, giving him the grounded presence of a man who understood exactly what justice required. Slowly, he turned away from Lydia and faced the rest of the guests, who straightened as if called to attention. Ethan Ward approached cautiously, hands clasped, voice tight with remorse. Mr. Davenport, I cannot express how deeply sorry I am for what happened tonight. You deserve better. This entire event exists because of you. Malik regarded him with a steady calm. Ethan, tonight was not about me. It was about what people choose to see when they look at someone, and what they choose to ignore. Ethan swallowed hard. If there is anything I can do, Malik raised a hand gently, stopping him. You can start by making sure this never happens again. Not to me. Not to anyone. Some guests murmured in agreement, nodding slowly. Sophia Hale stood quietly near the railing, her hands still gripping the folder she had used to defend the truth. Malik walked toward her, and the crowd instinctively stepped aside to give them space. Sophia's eyes widened. Sir, I was only trying to do what was right. Malik offered a small, genuine nod. You did more than that. You spoke up when it mattered, even when it put you at risk. Sophia shook her head. Anyone would have. Malik replied, no, they would not. And that is why it mattered. Sophia's breath trembled as she whispered, thank you. Malik turned back to the gathering crowd. Moments like this reveal who people are. Not when the night is calm, but when the conflict shows up at the door. He let his words settle into the silence. Respect is not optional. Dignity is not negotiable. And belonging is not for anyone else to decide. The guests listened, deeply aware they were hearing not just a response, but a principle shaped by years of lived reality. Malik inhaled the crisp night air, the breeze carrying away the tension that had once strangled the deck. Tonight could have been another quiet humiliation, he said. Another memory added to a long list of moments where someone like me was told to wait, to leave, to stand aside. Lydia flinched at the words, covering her face with both hands. But it did not become that. Malik continued. Because silence did not win tonight. The soft slap of waves against the hull filled the pause that followed. Malik glanced toward the horizon, then back at the guests. His final words were calm, clear, and carried the weight of a lesson meant to last far beyond the yacht. I did not raise my voice, he said. I raised the standard. A collective exhale spread through the crowd, some guests bowing their heads, others wiping their eyes. All of them changed in ways they had not expected when they stepped onto the yacht hours earlier. Ethan stepped forward hesitantly. Would you still consider joining us inside, Mr. Davenport? The investors would like to hear from you. And I think everyone here needs to hear from you. Malik looked across the deck, at the staff, at Sophia, at the guests now watching him with a mix of respect and reflection. Then he nodded once. Very well. Let us begin. The crowd parted for him, not out of fear, but out of acknowledgement. Malik walked toward the interior of the yacht, calm, unwavering, completely in control of the space that should have welcomed him from the beginning. Behind him, the suspended badge on Lydia's chest flickered again, a reminder that the night had turned, judgment had fallen, and justice had arrived not with shouting, but with truth. And as the doors closed behind Malik Davenport, the yacht's atmosphere shifted from tension to resolve, carrying with it a single, unforgettable message. The standard would never fall again.